Hello everybody. Today I want to do something fun. Um, is is to show my little white books that I vandalize. The thing about me is that I do not have many tarot books. In fact, with a recent addition of one tarot book textbook to my shelf, I only have two tarot books. I rely very heavily on little white books, and I write on them a lot uh, because I feel that the tarot subject is very far-reaching, and if I read more and more, I will just get deeper into it and get more confused because there are so many different systems, so many different interpretations, and um, like you all know, tarot is a very personal, very personal journey. So whatever you come up with, there will be 1,000 other different interpretations. But let me show you some of my little white books which I had written a lot on it, and I will show you one example. Also show you one example where the little white book is very clean. So this is my first little tarot, the little white book from my first tarot deck. It's all in Chinese, and because I do not know anything about tarot very deeply, so I rely a lot on the internet, and I wrote down the English, so it's easier for me to understand. You can see, if you all can see the things, like for example judgment and what I written down, you will know that this is just those, those tarot resource where the meanings are very general. And I mentioned this before in my previous videos that my first deck is a peep deck. So but the meaning that were given here are all very Rider-Waite-Smith. So I cannot link the pictures to the meaning given. And what I written down here is the numerology, but I couldn't also find a link between both of them. So this was one of the reasons I stopped reading tarot for a very long time. It was too difficult for me to link the minor. So see, knights, I put at streams of suit. Queen, nurturing. This is more universal. Yeah. And I also did written down some spreads for me to use. So this little white book, my first little white book is very useful to me because there are so many spreads for me to look at. But in the end, I do not need any of them. I rely mostly on my own and from Instagram. So Instagram was a game changer. The second little white book I want to show is from my second deck, the Crystal Tarot. So this Crystal Tarot, the little white book, wasn't filled in until maybe earlier this year, cause I couldn't understand why the pips were written as they were, and I couldn't find the name of the system that they were based on. We can say that it's the Marcel or the Thoth style, since it's like very peepish, but it really isn't. And it's thanks to this YouTube community that I finally found that this deck relies on the Picard system. But I searched high and low and managed to find their meaning, but I couldn't understand why they were the way they were, and the meanings were actually a little too outdated for my taste. But I still write them in just in case I need to rely on them. So here you can see like swords, it's a water sign, and if any of you have the crystal tarot, you can look at it and see that the swords have a lot of water in them, while the cups are filled with butterflies and birds, which are air element. So the next few tarot books are what came to me just last year when I get back into tarot. So the first one, the first one of the first decks that came after is the Dreaming Way Tarot. So actually when I first get hold of this tarot, although I have two decks previously, I'm still not a very big um I do not I'm not very sure of myself, and so I have to rely heavily on the little white book. So for example, but but I managed but last year will be a very big change. I mean, like from the crystal tarot to this tarot, there is a time difference of about 10 to 12 years. So technology has made a very big change, and tarot has become more accepted in the community, and it was easier for me to look for online resources. So one of which is the tarot community. I listen to many YouTubers doing flip throughs of this deck and talking about their view on how some depictions were. So I took down some notes. For example, if you know the Seven of Pentacles from the Dreaming Way Tarot, it is a lady holding many shopping bags and looking up. So it's a very different depiction. So these are some of the notes I took, like materialism. Should I get this or that? The next book that I'm going to show is very filled with it marks this book, the Linestrider journey. This book, because it's so substantial, like it's really a book and not just a little white book, there are more spaces for me to write stuff. So I do a lot of research during this time on numerology, on reversals, and I write down everything that I can get hold of, including the thoughts of some YouTubers on the card meanings. I wrote down everything because I will just want to be sure. So for example, like what do we what's you see, it's very colorful and very wordy. I will do maybe this one. Probably some of you can see that can recall where this all these texts this I do not use the Linestrider Tarot anymore, not at the moment. I have retired it for the moment, but I will still keep it because this book has helped me a lot in gaining confidence for reading with people and for myself. Then came the second wave of my my journey back into tarot. So this I got the Cowley's Thoth, and because it's an entirely new system, I listened to a lot of YouTube videos, and I've written down a lot of notes. But you can see I don't think I can read it anymore. I will need magnifying glasses. But it's still my treasure trove of Thoth symbolism, cause I spend like 10 minutes for each card, so that makes up maybe it's a very long time, and I do not want my efforts to go to waste. And it paid off because the Thoth is my soul deck. and I love it a lot. Just that I I can't read it anymore. So the Tarot of the Hidden Realms, it's also one of my favorite tarot decks. But for this, it's simpler. I just read through what Barbara Moore has to say about the art piece, and I do some highlights, and that's about it. I do not have much difficulties reading with this deck. This is I did not even follow what is written on here. I rely I rely on YouTubers also to talk about their impression of the decks and took down mental notes. This was much more easier for me. Okay, the second to last little white book I want to show is from the Marriot Tarot, the first edition. So I will consider this to be an intimidating deck to me because I do not know what's going on. Even I mean, you can see how much I highlighted here in the books. But to be honest, I cannot really understand what is being said here. It's very deep, and by deep I mean obtuse, which means that I do not understand anything at all. So I have to rely on, again, YouTube videos on people who are more experienced talking about the deck, and I did some research on by myself. When I was looking through the card one by one, I suddenly felt like I want to link them to Rumi's quotes, especially the minors. I do not have much problem with the majors because they were pretty much identifiable, but not the minors. They are very, very, very different. So, let me read to you what I written down for the Four of Wands by Rumi. I rely on internet resources. So for Four of Wands, we came whirling out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust. The stars make a circle, and in the middle we dance. Why did I choose this quote to link with this picture, the Four of Wands? Because I felt like this tree shooting upwards is scattering very fiery stars in the leaves. And from the swirls in the card, I felt like there's a lot of motion involved. So I thought of dancing, and when I saw this quote, I immediately said, yes, this is it. I can remember the cards better with this quote. And the Rumi is such a genius with his words. So with those few words, sentences, he encapsulate what I feel. So why not just write it down? Let me show you another one, Four of Cups. Okay. Your heart is the size of an ocean. Go find yourself in its hidden depths. So you can see the shell over here. It feels like a very small thing, but it carries the sound of the ocean waves. Just like what is written here, the heart has an ocean in it. So I wrote this down and I link it. Yep. So these are all my very vandalized little white book, and I will show you one example that is the other little white books in my collection, which is totally clean. Well, I love the feel of the books and the illustrations, so I feel like I'm defiling it by writing uglily on it. call that a bias. Thank you for looking at my videos.